one of the things that I really did enjoy about Delicious Monsters is the fact that, it felt like Daisy was very much a city girl who was in the country for the first time. And I am from the country, like American country, East Coast. And it's just like, yeah, like the first time people like would come out to like my house and they would be like, oh my God, that's like a real goat. And I'm like, yeah, that's a real goat. That's like a real cow. That's a real horse. Like we are out here, this is not like the city.
Yeah.
There are different rules, right? So it's just like if something is down the street, that means
Yeah.
like it's a 10-minute drive. That's not like walking distance, you know? So
Yeah.
having
Exactly.
having that experience and then like reading about Daisy's experience and how she's just like, y'all call this a bush? Like there's no path. What do you mean you want me to walk through here to get a ride to school? Are you insane, woman? I'm gonna need you to wake up and take me to school. Right? And it was just like it was so relatable.
Yeah.
And that was
Yeah.
the whole theme throughout the book. Is just like I find Daisy to be one of the most relatable characters, despite the fact that she sees dead people. Like she's really out here just trying to make it, just trying to survive, just trying to make it through high school. She's like, I don't know what I'm gonna do after that, but this is goal number one. We will worry about goal number two once goal number one is accomplished.
Yeah. Exactly, exactly. She's very, yeah, and that's a very purposeful perspective because I was like, as someone from the city coming into a more like country rural landscape, I was like, I have to write from this perspective. I was like trying to write from another perspective. I was like, I would just make so many ridiculous missteps. I was like, I have not lived here long enough to be like, yeah, I'll write from the point of view from someone that's like from here. And it's, yeah, it's a very fun experience to write her from that situation because it's true. Like when you're from the city, you're like, oh, you're gonna bring a real animal over here. Okay. Oh, some of you hunt things? Like you really do all of that?
It's like
And she's like, okay, I guess I'm here.
it's like new experience. I guess I'll accept it for what it is.
Yeah, yeah.
But but so speaking of Daisy, right? Like I loved her so much, and one of the things that I loved is like her perspective next to Brittany's, and we talked about this, on Instagram and how they have like differing perspectives. If I could like talk today, that would be lovely. But speaking of Daisy, one of the things that I feel like we have to talk about is the fact that you have this dynamic with her and her mom, and like her dad is he's there but also he's not there, and they have a really interesting way of interacting with each other because Daisy I, let me preface this, right? I've noticed that sometimes in especially within YA, when you have a female main character and her dad's not in the picture, a lot of times it's this yearning for her dad, like, why don't you want to see me? I want to see you. And this like, I want to build this relationship, like I'm angry but I want to see you type vibe. And Daisy is very much like, why are you calling me, bruh? Like we're not cool, you don't know anything about me, stop. And I would love to know more about like your decision to include that into the book, but also I want to talk about her relationship with her mom because she has a very layered relationship with her mom that as the story goes along and you find out more and more about it, you're just like, wow, this is kind of like twisted. I don't hate it, but like this is twisted. What?
Yeah, no, for sure. And so it's interesting about, that dad relationship. I'll start with that one because I'm a sort of person, I don't really have a relationship with my dad, but the little I did, it was very similar in that way. Or it had a shift. I think I started with yearning and then I was like, why am I yearning?
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that's something interesting to explore because a lot of the time I do find it ends up being kind of the opposite. And like you have this deep yearning for this person that doesn't want to be in your life. And I find it interesting to explore, what was my experience, which was kind of like, shouldn't you be yearning for me? And if you're not yearning for me, why am I yearning for you? Because it just kind of felt like, oh, wait, hold on a second. And so it was, interesting for me to get to explore that in a character. And then I think something that came out in edits that I ended up building upon was originally their relationship was very just kind of like super disconnected, and it wasn't as related to the rest of the story. Whereas now there is more of a kind of building around what has built up this sort of distance and relationship between them.